10 random magic cards. It is Saturday, day 47, everybody. We're closing in on 50, man. I'm proud of us. Hope your Saturday's been good. Hope your weekend's been good. If it hasn't, let's make it a little better. First card of the day, everybody. First card of the day. It's One with the Machine. Thanks, Scryfall. 4 mana, 3 and a blue for a sorcery. Draw cards equal to the highest mana value among artifacts that you control. So I remember people thinking this card was going to be a big deal, and it never really was. It really wasn't, man. But I guess now, people are getting Portal to Phyrexia in place. You just draw 9 cards, play Chimil, the Inner Sun, draw 6, it's fine. It's not actually that bad. So I'm going to give this a 5.1, mostly because it does have the ability to draw so many cards. It draws a million cards, and you have to respect that. And I do. So I'm going to move on to Blade Crafter. I was just talking about you the other day. Blade Crafter is 3 mana, 2 and a black for a 3/2 human shaman. When it ETBs, each player sacks a creature or planeswalker, and each player who can't do either of those things discards a card. So it's always going to do something. It punishes people who don't have creatures, and I like that about it because it's one thing Fleshbag Marauder could never really do. Also takes planeswalkers out sometimes, which is great. So really, really cool. I have never seen this secret lair drop. That is funky, dude. Oh, it's a Junji Ito. Okay. That's why it looks so nightmarish. it's old Junji Ito. That's a cool version of it. But yeah, altogether, man, Plaguecrafter might actually be like Smoke Settles, Dust Clears, the best Fleshbag Marauder of all time. So you really have to respect a card like that. It's like a 5.7. What did I give Marauder? Like a 6? Like this is whatever I gave Fleshbag Marauder. This is 0.3 of a point higher than that, right? So this could be as high as like a 6.5, depending on how generous I was feeling that day. We'll move on to Fateful Absence. This is 2 mana, 1 and a white for an instant. Destroy a creature or planeswalker. Its controller investigates. Fantastic. Fantastic removal spell. Really is. For just 31 cents, you can snag a copy of this for Midnight Hunt for your Commander deck, and I actually think it's like super worth playing a Commander if you don't have a whole lot of removal options. This is actually really, really cheap. I'm going to give Fateful Absence a solid 7, really. I think it's actually like a 7.4. Can we up that to a 7.4? This is actually like in the top like 50 removal spells of all time. I'm pretty convinced that it is. Although that list probably fills out really quick once you actually start making it. Video idea. I write that in the same place that I always write down the cards I want to buy. Idea. Top 50 removal spells. Yeah, that's a sick idea for a video. Bang that out real quick. Anyway, moving on to Plains. I love John Avon art. All basic lands get a 5, by the way, and they don't count for the video. But I've always liked John Avon, but I do hate this like Eldrazi, whatever you call these. I forgot what you call these. Somebody in the comment section remembers, and I should remember. It's killing me that I don't remember what these are called. But yeah, I've never really liked these. I really don't. But we'll move on to Alloy Golem, only ever printed in Invasion. This is 6 mana for a 4/4 Golem. When it comes into play, you choose a color. Alloy Golem is the chosen color. Bad card. Not very good. We'll give it a 2. I think that's probably where we sit on that one. Primal Prayers is up next. You'd think alliteration would be easy enough, but not for Dev. This is 4 mana, 2 and 2 green for an enchantment. When it enters, you get 2 energy counters. You may cast creature spells with mana value 3 or less by paying 1 energy rather than paying their mana cost. If you cast a spell that way, you may cast it as though it had flash. This card is cribbing off of Alarin. This is basically trying to be a worse Alarin, and it is. Alarin's a really good magic card. This is a fine magic card. It's okay. So I'm going to give this a 5.6, and that might be a little too high, but, if you're a worse Alarin, it's still pretty good. Unless you pronounce it Alurin. Most people I've known pronounce that card Alurin. I always pronounce it Alarin because I'm pretty sure that's the correct way. This is Alarin, by the way. It's originally printed in Tempest, 4 mana, same exact cost for an enchantment, same exact type. Any player may play a creature card with total casting cost 3 or less whenever he or she could play an instant and without paying its casting cost. So you see how it's symmetrical in this case. It is symmetrical, whereas Primal Prayers is not. However, you have built your deck in a way that you're infiniting. You're getting infinite combos with this, so you don't care. Like, at all. It's just infinite combos with like Mog Fanatic and Enduring Renewal and all kinds of fun stuff you can do. Alarin's sick. The art's awesome too. Just really, really good card. But I'm not rating Alarin. If I were, I'd give it a 7.4, but I'm not doing that. So we'll move on to Consigned Dream. This is 3 mana, 2 and a blue for an instant from Shadowmoor that's only ever been printed in Shadowmoor. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. If that permanent be red or green, put it on top of its owner's library instead. I don't know why I became a pirate halfway through that, but it's actually not great. It is return a permanent. It's not just a creature, it's just permanent. So that makes it a little bit better than you think, while still not actually being good. I'll give this a 5. Just go with a 5 on it. Hey, it's stickers. I wish I could reach through the screen and rip this stupid thing up. Let's move on to Golgari Grave Troll. Yes, this is 5 mana, 4 and a green for a skeleton troll. It's a 0/0 with Dredge 6. Now, Dredge means that if you would draw a card, you can instead not draw that card and mill 6 cards instead. If you do, return this card from your yard to your hand. Grave Troll comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature card in your graveyard. You can also pay 1 and remove a counter from it to regenerate Golgari Grave Troll. All seems kind of good, right? Kind of a Lurgoyf kind of effect or a Tarmogoyf thing, right? Where it cares how many creatures in your yard. Maybe it can be like a 6/6. Hey, remove a counter from it, regenerate it. That seems pretty good. No one cares. No one cares what the actual text box on this is, apart from Dredge 6. That is it. That's why it's banned in Modern. It's still banned in Modern to this day. Because Dredge 6 is about the most you can possibly dredge. And it turns out just throwing 6 cards into your graveyard to replace a draw step is gross. Especially when you can return it to your graveyard from your hand, from your graveyard to your hand by dredging, and then throw it back in your graveyard. In your next draw, just dredge again. It can all happen in the same turn, so you dredge 12 in the same turn and you just win the game because you just filled your graveyard really easily, and now you can do whatever you want. Turns out, now you got them right where you want them. Grave Troll is such a ridiculous Magic card. It's restricted in Vintage. This card is restricted in Vintage. It's that good, and I'm telling you, it's just because of the Dredge 6. It's just because of the very, very high dredge number. I'm going to give this card. It's restricted in Vintage and banned in Modern. I knew it was banned in Modern. I did not know it was restricted in Vintage. That's how good this card is. We will give this card an 8.1. We'll give this card an 8.1. Really, really, really good Magic card. If you've never been bodied by a deck playing Golgari Grave Troll, you might not know what I'm talking about, but just Google it. Just Google Golgari Grave Troll deck or Golgari Grave Troll dominance or something like. You'll get a bunch of decks and a bunch of articles about how ridiculous this card is. It's very, very good. We'll move on to Coral Barrier. Calm down a little bit and move on to Coral Barrier. Only ever printed in M15. This is 2 and a blue. 3 total mana for a 1/3 wall with Defender. Walls have Defender. When Coral Barrier enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 blue squid creature token with Island Walk onto the battlefield. So you get a 1/3 Defender and a 1/1 squid. It's a fine blink, I guess. It's not very good, though, is it? It just isn't. It just isn't. I can't put too much of a bow on this thing. It's just kind of fine. I'll give it a 2.6. Is it higher? No. No, I'll give this a 3.3. You know why? Maybe it goes in Arcades the Strategist. Maybe it goes in that deck. I doubt it, but 3.1. We'll move on to Urborg Scavengers. I like this art. I've always liked this art, but I'm going to go with the normal one. This is 3 mana. 2 and a black for a 2/2 spirit. When an ETB's aura attacks, exile a card from a graveyard and put a +1/+1 counter on Scavengers. Scavengers has flying as long as a card exiled with it has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Haste, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and also, of course, Vigilance. So all the important keyword abilities for the most part. This card needs to be given a chance in Standard. I think that Lord Skitter probably is better than this, but I was hoping this would have a chance to replace Graveyard Trespasser. And it just hasn't. And I completely understand why. I do think Lord Skitter's the better card if you're looking for a black 3-drop that plays in graveyards and stuff. But still actually pretty good. It's still okay, man. I think that, being able to give it any of these keyword abilities is disgusting. So I just like the card, but I'm not going to give it more than a 5.2, and even that is pushing it slightly, to be honest. But we'll move on to final card of the day. Boon of the Wish Giver is 6 mana, 4 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Draw 4 cards, cycle for a single mana. This is actually fantastic. is actually way, way better than it looks. I don't want to pay 6 to draw 4, but if I have the mana and nothing better to do, I might as well draw 4 because that's a buttload of cards. But cycling it for 1 is great too in your Zenith Flare deck. So, God, I like this card. I've always liked this card. There's nothing truly wrong with it. There's nothing actually bad about the card. So I'll give it a solid 5. Straight up and down 5. Not above average, not below average, just kind of right on the money. So, man, that's it. What was it? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yep, one more day this week, everybody. Hope your Saturday goes well for the rest of the day, and I will catch y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.